Today, we're looking at a blue ink by Monteverde Sapphire. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, down below in the description, there's timestamps of all the parts of the video, and if you are in a hurry, you can skip around, but if you got the time, I'd appreciate you if you check out the entire video. You can also follow me over on Instagram, and if you're new here and like ink reviews, I would invite you to subscribe. In order to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then inked up this Pilot Metropolitan with a 1.0 stub, wrote with it for a day, and took my notes for this video. I standardized my first writing sample by using Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper on all of the tests that I do. I do use other papers, and some of those will show up later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, so it came in a vial something like this. And to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, like that, and a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, something like this, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine, something like that. Now, let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. No bleed, no ghost. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shading. The extra fine is noticeably lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shading, 13 seconds to dry. Medium's a little darker than the extra fine, not as dark as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 19 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show no color variation because there was none. Tomoe River, no bleeding, normal Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 21 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub. No feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 34 seconds to dry. Scrubby shows no color variation because there is no color variation. Rhodia, no bleeding or ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 15 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 22 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we got none. I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down, immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see that this is a good prime blue. It pushes straight up. It's not resisting the water at all. It's gathering at the top where it gets very dark at the top. The one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And let's be honest, if I didn't tell you it was that one, you'd probably not be able to tell the difference between the two chromatographies. I like the fact that I write that D on it, or I wouldn't have been able to tell. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I am not surprised by what happened based on a chromatography. The way it completely blew out, yeah, I wouldn't use it in note-taking, but I'm not surprised by it either. Water is completely reactivating and lifting it off of the page. You start to see the white of the paper coming through with only 30 seconds of that water being there. It means give it 40 seconds and it'll probably all go away. Now, pen flush does do a little bit more, a little faster than water does, but you don't need to get to the pen flush stage for this ink. It's unnecessary. Speaking of unnecessary, let's talk about 1/3 bleach solution. It completely obliterates that ink off the page. It's a good thing you don't have to put that into your pen today. I test viscosity or flow by using a tilt test that I've linked in this video. For the inks I've tested, I have found a average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Monteverde's Sapphire has a viscosity of 2.77, making this a normal ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average all 6 of those numbers. Now, for the inks I've tested, I found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Monteverde's Sapphire has an average dry time of 21 seconds, putting it right on the high side of normal, but still normal. Instead of finding inks that look like Monteverde's Sapphire, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Now, I don't get to use a lot of the yellow or goldish tone inks, so I went with Krishna's Freedom Gold, because what a great match for this ink. The second writing sample is done on yellow Rhodia, Franklin Christoph, and black and red notebooks. Here we're looking at the yellow Rhodia to see if there's any kind of tone change that may happen for working on yellow paper. Now, this has been such a consistent and strong ink that I was very interested in its results. And there's none. It is completely unaffected. This is a very opaque ink. Incredibly. I mean, to be fair about how opaque it is, look at the smear on the Rhodia. You don't see the dots through the smear. You don't see the lines on this Rhodia through its smear. So this is a very opaque, very strong with the force ink. Up next is Franklin Christoph paper, where we do get quite a bit of bleeding spots in the in the stub, in the extra fine. Oddly, not as much in the medium, but that's how it came out. It also led for those two to have quite a bit of ghosting, although the medium did fairly well. The 1.1, it feathered a lot, ridiculously. Ridiculously. I'm going to go ahead and alter what we're seeing here just to zoom in. Maybe lift it, zoom in. Ridiculously. It's actually kind of a pain to have to go clean this up in audio later, so that's why I don't do that very often. There we go. So the 1.1 doesn't do very well. It's got a lot of feather. Okay. No spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub, with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub, with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 8 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any, but we did learn, don't use a stub with this ink on Franklin Christoph paper. Oh. Black and red notebooks, no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shade. Now the extra fine is a little bit lighter than the stub, with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, but not quite as dark as the stub, with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, and no shade, 9 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both shows no color variation, because there's no color variation to this ink. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all that I have for the writing samples. So what do I think of Monteverde Sapphire? This is a great, vibrant blue ink that doesn't need shading, sheen, any kind of gimmick to help it look even better. As a tone, this is absolutely amazing. It really draws your eye in. Now, using this on a whole page is not so bright that it hurts you, so it's not burning into your eyeball, but it is very vibrant to look at. So what nib and pen give the best writing experience with this ink? All of them. Choose your favorite pen, ink it up, write with it, it's going to look awesome. It's that consistent, it's amazing. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if it's your first time here, I'm going to remind you, if you enjoyed it, subscribe. Thanks for watching.